What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to check out the second part of the buffs and nerfs in ROX. This time, we are covering the Wizard, Assassin, Hunter, and Blacksmith jobs. But before we start the video, do you have problems AFK grinding in ROX? Do you always worry that you may overcharge or the battery of your phone, tablet, or laptop may overheat? Do you worry about your electricity bill when grinding using your personal computer that is running for days non-stop? Or do you encounter intermittent connection from your internet service provider, which disconnects your character when AFK grinding? Well, if that is the case, then UgPhone can solve all of your problems. UgPhone is a cloud phone that runs independently in the cloud, and it does not consume the memory or battery of your physical device. Even if you close the UgPhone app, your game will still continue to run in the cloud, which makes this the perfect phone for AFK grinding for 24 hours, 7 days a week non-stop.
Nice.
You can also run multiple instances of UgPhone in one account, which allows you to play and grind multiple games simultaneously. As you can see, my Shura and Royal Guard are AFK grinding at the same time. UgPhone is available in Google Play for Android, App Store for iOS, Windows Store for PC, and you can also use a web browser to run UgPhone. So if you want to try out UgPhone, you can use my link shown in the description below. And you can also use my invitation code, which really helps me out. So thank you guys, and thank you UgPhone for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. So first, let's check out the changes done to the Wizard job class. For the Napalm Vulcan, they just added the new effect of the Curse debuff, which makes the Napalm Vulcan skill much more better. For the Sienna skill, I'm not sure if that is how you pronounce the skill, but anyway, based on the changes, this skill has also been buffed and have added the new effect of the Curse debuff. The White Barrier has a significant buff when it comes to the Wizard class, because now, once you use this skill, you will be immune to damage from other elemental attributes, and that will last for 5 seconds. The only counter to this is using the Ghost Elemental attribute, although the fixed cooldown of this skill has also been increased from 12 seconds to 30. For the Napalm Beat, they just increased the blast range from 3 meters to 4. And finally, for the Intense Telekinesis, this has also been buffed significantly, adding a cast time and SP cost reduction which can stack up to 6 times. Moving on to the Assassin job class, for the Twin Blade Piercing, there are no changes actually made. They just updated the skill's description. For the Detoxify skill, changed the variable cooldown from 10 to 0, while the fixed cooldown has also been increased from 15 to 30 seconds. For the Improved Dodge skill, they just added an increase in the player's final attack speed. However, Flee in this game is not really that useful, especially if you are not using an Agi build. For the Grim Tooth, instead of dealing neutral physical damage, it now deals weapon attribute damage. For the Shadow Blade, they just added that whenever the double attack triggers, it reduces the cooldown of the skill. For the Assassination Halo, this has a huge change. Instead of increasing the final crit of your character and your party members, this skill will now give the entire party a hiding effect for 5 seconds. That is huge, especially in PvP, as you can now hide an entire party. It also adds final flee and attack speed to the caster once the halo fades. The variable cooldown has also been reduced from 30 seconds to 0, while the fixed cooldown has been increased from 20 to 30. The Assassination Halo has also been improved in the Shadow equipment, adding more final crit and final penetration depending on your build. For the Mirror Image, instead of triggering crits to your damage, it is now based on every 15% of the target's max HP lost. This makes sense, because now, they are making the skill flexible for the crit and penetration build. Same with the Soul Destroyer, they just added a description that if your final crit is higher than your penetration stat, your skill can trigger crit damage. For the Cross Impact skill, they have increased the skill radius from 3 meters to 4 and added additional damage. For the hallucination walk, they made the skill effective for MVP and mini monsters, as it can now deal damage equal to 200% of the physical attack. For the dark illusion, the main changes for this skill are the surge forward from 13 meters down to 12, the bullet width from 2 meters increased to 3, and the bullet speed from 30 to 50. The poison smoke skill has also been buffed, increasing the poison attribute damage and coefficient. For the deadly mist skill, it seems that they have nerfed the number of clouds that an assassin can generate after eliminating a target. Before, the total number of clouds that can exist at the same time is 12. Now, it has been lessened down to 6. For the rolling cutter, they increased the skill radius from 3 meters to 4. Based on what I've seen for the changes that they have made for the assassin, it seems like they have made significant changes because of the upcoming 4th job skills. For the assassin players out there, did they buff or nerf the assassin skills? Let me know in the comment section below. Moving on to the next job class, which is the hunter. For the arrow storm skill, the main change that they did to this skill is that the healing gain from physical lifesteal is no longer dependent on the crit damage. For the aimed bolt, I don't really see any changes for this skill, other than the description. It is now mentioned that if you have a higher final crit than the final penetration, your skill has a chance to trigger critical damage. But other than that, there are no changes when it comes to the damage computation or the mechanic of the skill. For the Warg Rider, before, when you are mounted onto a Warg, your attack speed is reduced by 100%. At the same time, your final haste is also reduced by 10%, while increasing your physical attack by 25%. Now, in this new patch, your attack speed is still reduced by 100%, but the final haste reduction has been increased to 20%. However, your physical attack will now be increased from 25 to 50%. For the Prowling Wolf, they have added a new mechanic to this skill. Based on the description, this skill can only be triggered when the Warg is following, and the Warg's initial size modifier against enemies is at 100%. Same with the Warg Bite, they have added the same description that they have added in the Prowling Wolf. For the Falcon Mastery, the main change in this skill is that they have removed the luck stat for increasing the chances of triggering a Falcon attack. They replaced it with the initial Falcon attack rate is at 10%, while adding that the Falcon's initial size modifier against enemies is at 100%. Same with the Blitz Beat and Falcon Assault, the only change added to these skills is that the Falcon's initial size modifier against enemies is at 100%. For the Machine Expert, the main change is that the trap's movement speed has been increased from 6 to 8. For the Vulture's Eye, they have changed the condition regarding the final damage bonus whenever an enemy is near a hunter. Before, when there is no enemy within 4 meters of the hunter, the final damage bonus is increased by 45%. Otherwise, it decreases the final damage by 30%. When no more than one enemy is within 4 meters, the final damage bonus is increased by 45%. And if more than one enemy is nearby, then the final damage reduction is reduced by 30%. I think the final damage reduction is a typo error, and that should be a final damage bonus. For the Sharpshooting skill, the main changes done to this is that it now deals a weapon attribute physical damage instead of a true damage, while also adding an effect on MVP, mini, and boss monsters, wherein weapon attribute damage equal to 500% of physical attack will be dealt instead. And last but not the least is the Wind Sign skill. They have added more skills that can apply the Wind Sign mark. And finally, moving on to the last class included in the upcoming balancing in the game, and that is the Blacksmith job class. For the Savage Slash, the main changes in this skill is the stat used in scaling the damage. Instead of using the Agi stat, it now uses the strength stat to add additional damage up to 800%. For the Savagery skill, before, each stack of Savage only grants a 5% lifesteal. Now, each stack adds 5% lifesteal and 5% final physical penetration. For the Hammerfall, the main change for this skill is that instead of using a neutral element, the Hammerfall will now be based on the weapon attribute instead. For the Hurl Zenny, the main changes for this skill is that instead of having a 50% chance to deal critical damage, it now has a 50% chance to deal double damage instead. Although, I feel like that is basically what the crit damage is. For the Vulcan Arm, the main changes for this skill are the casting range from 8 meters to 12, and the skill range from 4 meters to 6. For the Arm Cannon, there are a few major changes for this skill. One being the damage computation, as it has been increased for a higher damage output, while the skill radius is also increased from a 1 meter to a 6 meter range. The casting range has also been improved from 10 meters to 12. And last but not the least, it's the Suicidal Destruction. They have added a pull effect during the 2-second detonation countdown. It will now pull enemies within 6 meters toward the magic gear's center. They have also allowed this skill to deal damage to MVP, mini, and boss monsters, dealing fire attribute damage. And that's it for the remaining jobs that were included in the upcoming class balancing in ROX. Do you like the changes that were made by the devs? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more ROX content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GG!
You're a superhero.